I had a call from a person who said, I was married for 40 years. This is the hardest thing that I've ever done. I had no clue how hard it would be to unwind this relationship emotionally, financially. It's just been so hard for me. How do you guys do this? Divorce changes the way that people think, the way they communicate. It changes how they react emotionally. And a lot of men make decisions early on in the process thinking that they're helping themselves when what they're doing is actually creating big problems for themselves later on. Now, some mistakes cost money, some mistakes will cost you time with your children, and some damage your credibility. So in this video, I want to talk about 5 divorce mistakes men make that often backfire later. And I want to tell you a quick story. I had a call from a person who said, I was married for 40 years. This is the hardest thing that I've ever done. I had no clue how hard it would be to unwind this relationship emotionally, financially. It's just been so hard for me. How do you guys do this? And it reminded me at my core why I do this work. It's important that you choose a lawyer, you work with somebody who's interested in helping you transform, because you are going to change in this process. You're not going to be the same person that you were when it started. But it's important that the attorney helps you strengthen relationships with your children, become more confident financially, and more confident in yourself, protecting your dignity. All right, here are the mistakes that men often make in a divorce. Trusting verbal promises. I've seen this happen. People become very different once lawyers and court orders get involved. And I've seen good people get into a situation where they come to me and they say, I think we're going to work it all out. You know, I've sat down, I talked with her. I even got a text message from her. I think, we have this all in place. And then I see them later and they say, well, now she hired a lawyer and now this is what's happening. And they come to me and they're so far behind already. They're downstream. The case has been filed. They've already been to court. Maybe orders have been made, struck against them that prevent them from seeing their kids as much as they want, or they're overpaying in child support, or perhaps paying all the bills. So you have to be very careful about that. Trust is very difficult. I'm going to be honest with you guys, what I find in divorce. That trust factor, it just starts to diminish over time. And it's just a reality. And it really amplifies if you're not living together. So that physical separation really causes that trust to really widen. All right, number 2, reacting emotionally through text messages. Be very careful about this. We live in a world where everyone is capturing everything. So one emotional message can overshadow months of good behavior. It's so true. I have seen these situations where somebody comes in and they had a bad day, but it was all captured in this text message. They said the worst, nastiest things, and maybe they didn't really mean it, but it's there, it's stuck, it doesn't go away. And the other person just keeps displaying it over and over, over and over. And we'd like to get over that hump and say, hey, move on, move on, move on. Part of the moving on is for you then to make a choice. You either have to say to yourself, yes, I said those things and I meant it and I'm very sorry and I'm learning how to do better. Or you have to say, I didn't mean it. And now they'd say, well, why would you say something like that? Because you just put yourself in a really bad spot. So you have to be very careful about what you're saying in text messages. Just don't do it. Be professional. Number 3, moving out too fast without understanding the consequences. This is a big one. Big one. I'm glad I'm talking about it. So trying to avoid conflict can sometimes create legal problems for you. And men do this often. They often sacrifice in the divorce. I just see it more often. Oh, I'll just move out. I'll let her have the house, I'll let the kids stay in there. I want that all to be great. It sounds good, but they're doing this without understanding things legally. So they move out, and I have a phrase I often say to people, it's easier to get or keep the things that you already have than it is to get them back. Of course, children aren't things, but my point is this. If you move out and you leave your kids behind, it's much harder for you to get back in. Now you're like asking for permission, essentially. Could I see the kids? Could I come back to the house? When can I come in? I want to get my stuff. How do I get my clothing? How do I get my tools? So again, before you move out, have a plan, have some legal orders in place too that protect you so that you know when you're going to see your children and when you can get your items and take them out of the home. Number 4 is hiding financial stress instead of documenting it. So judges care more about proof than frustration. If you have financial issues, you need to talk about it, get it out in paper, okay? And rather than just hide it, it might be embarrassing, it might be hard for you to talk about, but it's just important to say there's not enough money for this, okay? Or I have to pay these bills. Don't assume that people understand what's going on inside and what you're dealing with. Make sure that you properly document your finances so that it makes sense to people. Courts understand that. They like accounting. They like to see the numbers. Most lawyers that I know say, I went to law school because I didn't want to do math. And then we find ourselves in family law. We do a lot of math in family law. So if you're helping with the math by bringing in spreadsheets, financial disclosure statements, property division worksheets, these are very helpful to your case. Number 5, thinking the truth automatically wins. This is such a tough one for me because that's what our court system is based off of. Okay, it's about the truth, right? Searching for the truth and making decisions, justice. It's so hard because I've been witness to this. I've been witness to people lying in court. And when people lie in court, it changes the outcome. Somebody gets hurt. Your kids get hurt. The other parent gets hurt. And it's very hard to detect sometimes if people are lying. Now, family court is heavily influenced by preparation, consistency, documentation, and perception. So what might be true has to also be executed upon, all right? So you can come in and you can say, that's not true, this is true. You have to back it up. You have to have witnesses. You have to have documentation to support the truth. So I always tell my clients that the court is a fact finder and the court's decision is only as good as the facts that it relies on. So make sure if you want the truth to come out that you're presenting the facts, not just verbally, not just telling, but you bring in witnesses and other documentation. I'm Kyle Kaufman. I'm attorney at HKK Law Offices. We love family law here. We're in Wisconsin. Reach out if you want to talk to us about your family law matter. Thanks.